Welcome back, guys. I know you won't watch this video because it's about a quad, but this is my brother's quad. There he is. What's going on? What's the problem with this?
I lost spark. I was the last snowstorm I brought it out to ride it, and it started up fine. Driving it, backfired, and won't start. Figured out it had no spark, so I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah, that day I came right over and we took the spark plug off and nothing. So the thing cranks. So everything seems good there. Battery's good and the crank is good. But yeah, no spark. So we're gonna get this thing to my house. What are we thinking? Probably CDI or the coil are usually the culprits. I mean, it could be the stator, but I don't like to jump to that conclusion right away. But you guys might have seen this quad, but only if you followed me on Instagram a while ago. So I got this from my brother. I picked it up, I don't know, a year ago? Not quite a year.
Probably.
Probably not quite a year. Then my brother bought it, for me. But I got it running and working and, put on like a back rack and I don't know, stuff was missing, lots of things were missing, but we got it going. But yeah, lost spark. So let's get it home and then we'll figure out what's wrong with it. All right, we're all loaded up. Got 4 points securing this thing. So I also have a King Quad 300, and I bought mine because I like this one so much. So when my brother bought it from me, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go out and get one. So, but these are fun machines, pretty tough. Relatively easy enough to work on. Things are really tight in here though to work on the carb and everything, but they're not too complicated. So hopefully we can diagnose this correctly and get it figured out. Okay, we have the quad home, and I just want to show you that with the spark plug pulled, we have no spark here. So keep your eye there. Of course, you're seeing nothing because it doesn't have spark. But just to confirm that once on video. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take off the front plastics so we can access the CDI and a little, the ignition coils right about here. Not too hard to get to, but since I want to get the CDI also, it makes more sense to get the whole front plastics off. So let's see if we can get that done, which is never fun because these things don't like to come apart. But I think I had this off once before, so we might have some luck with it. What a beast that was to get the front plastics off. But I got it. The main problem was the bolts at the very bottom of the battery box. There's bolts that bolt down to the frame, and those obviously were rusted out. So I had to use a Sawzall and a grinder, and yeah, eventually we got it. But here's where the CDI is, so it's a lot easier to get to it with the fender off. You could also get to it if you take the tire off, but you can't really see much. So anyway, these were very dirty. So I'm going to blow these out, and then we're just going to try, we're going to try everything, right? Make sure it's not an easy fix. So it could have been just that those are dirty because there was a lot of mud in there. So let's try that first and see if we have spark. All right, here's the new CDI. Pretty cheap part on Amazon. I think it was like $27. So obviously it's aftermarket, which means it's junk, right? Well, we'll see. Hopefully it runs the machine. You know, it'll probably die in like 3 years as opposed to making it 23 years, but let's give it a whirl. All right, simple as that. Let's see if she has spark. And she does. We have spark. All right, that's great news. So that was it. It was just the CDI. That's fantastic. Let's get this put back together. All right, let's give this thing a start. Let's see what she does. There we go. Let it warm up a bit, right? Doesn't seem to want to stay running. Well, I might put the boot on the carb and see if that makes a difference, because I know it's pretty finicky about that, so let's give that a try. Oh, this is how it's running. It's running terrible. It won't rev up. It wants to die every time I hit the throttle. It's really running bad. All right, check this out. If I take my hand and I cover the intake just a little bit, it revs up great. So you would think the air filter would help with that. I even put some oil on it. And it won't rev up. Just wants my hand there. I gotta keep messing with this air mixture screw. It must be that. All right, I just made an adjustment. I think I got it. Yeah, I think it's dialed in now. Well, it's the next day. I spent several hours on this thing yesterday, and I thought I had it running pretty good, and thought I just had to figure out a charging system problem, but it was running really bad yesterday. It wouldn't ever throttle up. So let's see what she's doing today. Seems to want a little bit of choke sometimes. Go off choke. Go back to choke. Yeah, rough. Huh. Well, now it's not wanting to start at all. I'm sure if I can get my thumb on the throttle, it'll start. So let me see if I can get it running for you. Well, I can't even get it started right now, but I have a voltage regulator that came in the mail. So let's slap that on, see if it makes a difference. Well, I put the voltage regulator on and it wasn't doing anything. Can't get it to start. So decided to crack into the carb here. I have one of the jets out and it was definitely clogged. Didn't look great at the bottom of the bowl. By the time you get the bowl off, all the fuel spills out, so I couldn't really inspect it. But so yeah, I cleaned this out, so that passage is clean. So I don't know, put it back together, see if we can't get it to run. Well, here's a development. I'm really not getting any fuel, so here's the fuel line. So that could be why it's not running. Man, we got compounding issues here. Here's a fuel pump. See if I can figure out what's going on with that. I'm not out of gas. And there's like a half tank, more than a half a tank in there, so this looks all wet. So I gotta look into this. Alright, so there's the petcock there, and it definitely works. If I turn that down, there's fuel gushing right out of it. I disconnected the line. I just wanted to see if that was working first, which it is. So back to the carb, here's the vacuum line that activates the pump, and that goes on this plastic vacuum nipple here. And that's pretty loose on there, so I definitely, I don't even know if that's cracked. That might be cracked, but I have to look into this and secure that on there a little bit better. So let's try that first, see if we can get this vacuum fuel pump to work correctly. Alright, things are hooked back up. I cut away some of the fuel lines so we have a nice secure connection there. And let's take a look. No fuel. Petcock is on the on position there. So it looks like a fuel pump went bad. So CDI went bad. Then maybe it was the fuel pump all along why this thing wasn't running good yesterday. But I replaced the regulator because, I don't know, just couldn't figure it out. But seems like we weren't getting fuel. So I do have an old fuel pump here from, I think, my King Quad 300 that wasn't getting fuel. So this thing's probably bad too. From what I remember what I did on mine, now mine was a little bit, I think mine's a 97, this one's a 93. I think I just bypassed it and just went fuel right into the carb. It always worked, it just works great like that. So probably wouldn't be like fantastic going up hills all the time, but I haven't had any issues. So I might try to do that, just run a line. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna interrupt the video right here. I'm actually going to spoil the video too. In the next clip you're gonna watch, I actually get this thing running. But what I failed to film was an entire Sunday afternoon of troubleshooting, frustrating work trying to get this thing to run right. The last clip, I was trying to get the fuel pump to work. I couldn't figure that out. I don't know why. And what I did the next day is I hooked up an auxiliary fuel tank to gravity feed fuel into the carburetor. It was sort of trying to run, but basically there was nothing I could do, just a lot of cranking. Every once in a while it would try to pop. I was out of carb spray at the moment, so I couldn't even like shoot some carb spray in there. I was basically completely unsuccessful for an entire day. Eventually what I did was I swapped out a spark plug. And now I had done a million things, from adjusting the carburetor to fuel lines to gravity to prime, a whole bunch of things, and I switched out the spark plug and it fired right up. So it wasn't just a spark plug issue. We definitely had a bad CDI. I'm pretty sure we had a bad voltage rectifier. We had a lot of things going on, but kind of the last piece was this spark plug. Now the spark plug was working great. I take it out all. I tested it probably 10 times. Take the spark plug out, test for spark. Had great spark. I just couldn't get the thing to fire off. So put in a different spark plug and it fired right up. So here's that clip. Well, and just like that, it's running. And the biggest culprit for why it wouldn't run this very moment was the spark plug. So I put in a new spark plug and then it fired right up. I mean, we definitely had the no spark issue. Actually, who knows? Maybe the CDI did work. I should probably try the old CDI. Nah, the old CDI doesn't work. I just hooked it up here. So no, we had a no spark issue. We needed that CDI. Then we got everything to run decently, but we must have fried the voltage regulator somehow, and that's when the battery stopped getting charged. So then that somehow led into a no start issue, which I have no idea what was going on with that. I mean, well, it was a spark plug, but then why was there a fuel issue with the fuel pump, which I got the fuel pump working, by the way. I don't know. There was too many things going wrong at one time. But the important thing is, for this moment, it runs. And that's good.